Today we're starting our e-learning and we're going to wrap up our unit on investments. So we're going to look at a few more investments. Starting with today, we're looking at mutual funds. So feel free to either grab a separate piece of paper to write on, or you can print out these notes and fill them in, whatever's easiest for you. And I recommend having a calculator handy as well. A mutual fund. What is a mutual fund? So a mutual fund is an investment alternative in which investors, so meaning people who are putting their money in, pool, so put together their money to buy stocks, bonds, and other investments based on the selection of professional fund managers who work for an investment company. How can you profit from a mutual fund? A profit can make money from its security, so its investments, in two ways. A security can pay dividends, right? Similar to like what we have with our stocks, or interest to the fund, so putting the money back into making more investments, or the security can rise in value, right? So you can make money, but is it also possible you can lose money? And sure enough, a fund can also lose money and drop in value. So just another type of investment. This one is maybe a little bit more diversified than some of the others we've looked at. So we're going to just look at buying mutual funds. So there's two formulas they have here. The first one is the loading charge. And that's just basically, you can think about that as being the money kind of that you pay someone to make these decisions and kind of manage the account. So that's going to be your loading rate times the amount invested or the amount of the sale. In this case, it will just be the amount invested. We're not going to do the sale, so you can cross that part out. And then the number of shares purchased is going to be the amount invested minus your loading charge. So you're going to have to take off what you pay someone else, and then you divide it by the net asset value of this per share. And this is a fancy way to just say the price per share. So Martin Levy invested $25,000 in a mutual fund. The net asset value is $15.58 per share. It is front loaded. That basically just means that they're buying it they're paying for the person up front at a loading rate of 5.5%. What's the loading charge and how many shares did Martin buy? So the loading charge, we're going to use that first formula, is equal to the loading rate, which is 5.5 as a decimal. If we move it 2 to the left, that's 0.055 times 25,000. Go ahead and type that in your calculator, right? And as you do that, you end up with $1,375. Okay, so now let's look at the shares. How many shares did he buy? You can think about doing this in one or two steps. It's up to you. But we're going to take the amount invested, which was $25,000, and we're going to subtract how much Martin ended up paying as a loading charge, so the person kind of who's managing that. So we're going to subtract those two, and then we are going to divide it all by the price of the share, the net asset value, which is $15.58. You'll notice I have parentheses on the top. That's because you may want to start by just subtracting what you have on top there, so you get 23625, and then divide by the 1558. And when you do that, you end up with 1516.37 if I round, so 1,516 shares. Your other option here is to type in that whole first part of the 25,000 minus 1,375, and if you put that in parentheses, then you can divide by 1558 all in one step. Okay, this one I want you to try, so let's think about it. Let's take the same process. Bianca invested $30,000 in the Hanson Ryder Mutual Fund Type A. Just so you know, they call that the Type A because this is what we're doing, like the front loading. You're paying the charge up front. The net asset value of the price per share is $16.80 per share, and it's front loaded with a rate of 3.5%. So the loading charge is going to be our rate, so 3.5% as a decimal is 0.035 times the amount invested, which is $30,000. When you multiply 0.035 times 30,000, you end up with $1,050. So how many shares? We take the amount invested, which is 30,000. We subtract the 1,050, the loading charge, and we're dividing by the net asset value, or the price per share. So 1680. When you do that, you end up with 1723.2. So we'll call that 1,723 shares. Okay,